And it is exactly 15 minutes past 3 p.m. right here on Our Farmers Media. This is the Farm Drive Show with me, Conrad Kibe, and we're always about one thing only, telling you the story of an African farmer in the best way possible. And as a media, we are always about three things only: connect, learn, and grow. So today we'll be having a very interesting conversation, and it's a conversation that will continue from where we left yesterday. Due to some technical issues that we had right here in studio, we were not able to cover the whole of the discussion we had yesterday, and that is all about one very, very important question: is your farm a business or not? So details of that and much more will be coming your way in a few. But remember also, we'll be having a fantastic finish of the show, and definitely Watu Mombasa Road, we shall be giving you the traffic updates towards the tail end of this show. In regards to the COVID updates, we shall be giving you also the numbers as they stream in from the Ministry of Health, and we shall be giving you more of the updates immediately they post that on their social media platforms, or definitely when the minister, or that is the CS or anyone from the Ministry of Health, will be giving the press release. And so definitely we'll be having that conversation. We shall just take it from where we left it yesterday. But before that, let's do a recap of the 4 steps or the 4 key questions that we need to ask ourselves before we start this journey of making your farm a business. And remember, we talked about this being a transition that needs you to be on the right path, especially if you are a new farmer. And for the experienced farmers, it's also, there's nothing new under the sun, definitely, but you need to learn a few things. Probably something you've not been doing right. You started on a wrong foot, but right now you're trying to rectify what you actually did wrong. So we are here to help you for the experienced farmer, and definitely an added advantage for a new farmer who is actually you thinking of starting, or probably you're thinking of starting this journey of making your farm a business from just doing it for leisure, or you are a farmer because you're passionate about farming or something of the sort. And the first question we asked ourselves, because remember this is it's more of a trivia or more of a guideline on which to understand if you're doing it the wrong way or the right way. And the first question we tackled yesterday is, my soil tested? And this one from yesterday's conversation, we said this one is non-negotiable, nothing to discuss here. You need to test your soil, not just doing it from because you're just passionate, you know how to farm, and you dive into getting into farming. No, the first thing you need to do is test your soil, and this one, as we said, you need to do it as quickly as possible, or as fast as you can do it. All right, so you need to test your soil, and if you don't have a way to do it, or you don't know where to start it, don't worry. Here at Our Farmers, we can help you to do that. So you can contact us on the number that is running on your screen, that is 0700-293-031. You can contact that number, and someone will be at the end of that call to help you in how you can actually get help to test your soil. So right here at Our Farmers, we can help you test your soil. So talk to us. Remember, we give you quality services at an affordable price. Na bei yetu iko chini, lakini everything or services ziko juu. All right? Quality iko juu, na pia bei iko chini, and it's affordable for everyone. So contact us. Also, you can slide on social media platforms, that is on Facebook at Our Farmers, on Twitter, Our Farmers with a Z at the end, and definitely on YouTube. Also, please like this channel and share as much as you can. But definitely, if it's all about soil testing, it's very important to test your soil. All right, so that's the first step. So if you've tested your soil, you're a new farmer, experienced farmer, you've tested your soil, you can award yourself 5 hot points for testing your soil. But if you have not done so, you can continue following the conversation, but do what is required of you. Call us, we can help you do it the right way. And so the second thing we talked about yesterday is making sure that your beds are raised. This is a very, very important step we talked about yesterday. And definitely, if your beds are raised, you can award yourself 5 points. All right. So if it's a no, I'll give you 3 main reasons why your beds needs to be raised. All right. And the first one is it increases your soil temperature. So if you have a problem with soil temperature, the temperature keeps on increasing and it's not stable, you need actually to raise your bed. 2, probably this one is where we have a major problem, is if you have a problem with drainage. You've been wondering, nothing is working for you. You've tried all the ways that you can have to make sure that your drainage is improved, but it's not working. We have one way that you can help yourself with. If you're an experienced farmer or a new farmer, where you live in has a problem of drainage issues. For example, you're in a place where it's all about floods. Shout out to people in Budalangi. Your place is always flooding. You have a problem with the drainage or the soil. This is actually a very, very good idea to do it. Raise your beds. So if you have a problem on drainage, raising your beds actually improves the drainage. All right. The third thing that is, we've just said the 3. They are not the only main reasons why you're supposed to raise your beds, but they're actually the main 3. There are other several reasons why you're supposed to raise your beds. The third one is improve ease of access. You have a problem in actually accessing your farm. This is another reason as to why you need to raise your beds. So it's very, very important to make sure that your beds are raised. All right. Third one, this is close home. We talked about 2 types of farm managers. One is a present manager. You're a farm managers. That's what I'm trying to say. We have the present manager who is always there, always checking on his farm, doing it directly. And secondly, we have the other type of a farmer who is a telephone farmer, always calling, mambo vipi, mambo namna gani shambani, and what have you. You have someone who is actually direct, who is involved in taking care of your crops and your farm directly, but you as the farm owner, you're doing it via telephone. Those are 2 types of farmers. And these 2 types of farmers are very crucial when it comes to taking care of the crops and more so the farm in general. And so for the telephone farmers, especially you, probably you have that farm manager because you don't have the basic knowledge on how to take care of the crops, how to spot diseases. Unajua unafika pale unagongwa bei ya fertilizer, unagongwa bei ya seedlings, everything. You don't know, you know nothing about farming. You're just a farm owner and you know nothing. It's just the same way you can be, you are an owner of a car, when ndio jina yako iko pale kwa logbook, but you know nothing about driving. Right? So if you know nothing about driving and wakati umefika kupeleka hii gari service, utagongwa. Everything, whether we're talking about the brake pads, oil, utapigwa bei. So it's the same analogy you can take to the farm. If you don't have the basic knowledge about how to take care of the crops, beis are different types of fertilizers, seedlings, and what have you, they'll take advantage of you. So you as a manager and your workers that you have employed in your farm need to have the basic knowledge of what is required of them. Whether you're a farmer, whether you are a manager, if you are a laborer in that farm, you need to have some basic, at least, that's a bare minimum, basic knowledge of what is required of you when it comes to proper care of the crops, proper planting, spotting diseases and pests. Those are just some of the basic requirements that you're supposed to be having as someone who is engaged in the farm. And so, if you're a laborer or a worker in a farm, a manager, either a telephone manager or a present manager, and you have this basic knowledge, award yourself 5 points, and that's a good job for you. And if you don't have this basic knowledge, especially of the activities of general management of the farm, we are here to save you. Remember, we are here to connect, learn, and grow. That's wholly our idea, because at the end we want to connect with you. Like right now, what we're doing with you as a farmer, you learn something in the next couple of hours, probably in 2 hours, you learn something, and at the end, when we finish marking this trivial quiz, you'll understand, you'll have learned something, a thing or two, probably from the 12 steps that we have, or the 12 trivia questions we have. You'll have missed a step or two, so you'll have learned something from connecting, and at the end result is you will rectify what you had missed, and the end result is you will grow as a farmer, and you will also grow your profits in whatever you're doing, in whatever you have, the crops you have in your farm. You'll have grown as a farmer, and also in terms of profit. And that's the whole idea of you having your farm as a business. And so if you want probably to equip yourself with some basic knowledge, or probably you want to equip your workers with some basic knowledge about the general management of a farm, you can talk to us. Remember, we, our CEO, that is Noah Kadima, sat down and thought about this thing in a very critical angle, and so it's right, because he has actually gone to more than 4,000 farms, and you look at it in a logical way. You can't keep on going in every farm and trying to rectify what people are doing right, or what people are doing wrong, logically, and in terms of logistics, with this kind of environment where we have the virus and the COVID, it's a bit, people are a bit skeptical in welcoming people to their farms. So our CEO sat down together with his team and thought through of our farmers training and resource center that is underway right now. The groundbreaking will be the dates of the groundbreaking will be announced. But if you want to be part of this amazing and great team, we'll be giving you details of how you can connect with us in terms of getting to have, or to join this pack of the first flock of people that will be joining the training and resource center, so that you at least able to learn a thing or two, not just the basic general knowledge on how to take care of the farm, even some tips that you never knew. And this is not just to the new farmers, also the experienced farmers. It's a good time that you can unlearn and learn at the same time. You may be doing things that are working for you by luck or by chance, but when you join or enroll in our farmers training and resource center, you realize there are things that you're able to do by sheer luck, but you're doing things the wrong way. But the moment you understand, you learn, you gain this knowledge, you'll be there with people, you'll connect at the same time, you will learn a thing or two, or you actually will help other people learn what you're doing. And the whole idea, or the whole effect that will be there with the people in the training and resource center, is that we shall all grow. We as a team, and you as a farmer, we shall all help each other to, because we'll be connecting, we shall learn, and at the end result, which is a very positive result, is that we shall all grow, whether as a farmer, in terms of profit, and in terms of just learning a thing or two, especially the basic knowledge. And probably it will not, in terms of logistics, will not be easier for you to have everyone on board in your farm. When you do it, remember, you can pass the knowledge through apprenticeship, through just, when you learn a thing right now, you can help pass it to a friend, or a manager. If you're a present manager, you have someone who is on standby in your farm, or your workers in your farm, or anyone around you, because we are all about connecting, learning, and growing. So make sure that before you start make or transition your farm to a business, that you're following these steps. Remember, the first one we've talked about making sure that your soil is tested. Get to know the pH level of your soil. Usifanye tu vitu because your friends did the same acre of land, probably ilimpatia hii profit, unasema hata mimi nitatry kuweka onions, and they cannot grow in your area. Don't do things out of peer pressure. Let's not be ignorant. All right, so let's get to understand our soil, the pH level, so that you, from there, when you connect with us, when you call us, or when you contact us, we shall help you, not just testing your soil, but we shall give you the guidelines on what you can actually plant in your farm. Secondly, we have talked about raising your beds. That is very important, especially if you have a problem in drainage. So that will help you improve drainage, and you shall actually have helped yourself in one way or another, or even making sure that you have an easier way to access your farm. The third thing we've talked about is making sure that you have basic knowledge, whether you as a farmer, new farmer, experienced farmer, or your workers in your farm, making sure that they are able to spot pests and diseases, and also to take care of the crops in the right way, proper planting, and the steps that come with the planting of any crops that are in your farm. And so, before we take a short break, let's look at the fourth step that we're supposed to be having. We're supposed to be taken through. Remember, we are awarding the 5 points. If you have done the 3, then this one is the 4th one. Are you dependent on the rain for planting after other uses? If yes, all right, give yourself point. If it's a no, do you have an irrigation system in place? And this one, especially when you don't have adequate, basically having access to adequate water is very crucial when it comes to the farm. So if you're living in a highland, in a place where it's highlands, right, you have enough rainfall throughout the year, it's good to have a fallback plan. Okay, whether it's a man-made lake, whether it's a river around there, si kutegemea tu rainfall, you have an irrigation system in place that in case that you actually are in for the long rains, and that year mambo haiendi vizuri ama mambo inaenda mrama, you don't have the long rains as soon as you expected them, what can you do? Okay, and if you come from a dry area, for example, this area or this region, talking about Kajiado and Machakos, all the way to the lower side of eastern region, what is your fallback plan? Okay, many a times you'll have short rains, but you'll not have adequate rainfall throughout the year. What is your fallback plan? So you must have an irrigation system in place, and that's very important. So whether you're in the dry areas or the highlands, make sure that you have an irrigation system in place in case something fails, in case this what you're depending on, whether it's the rainfall, whether it's you're depending on a river, and probably it's a seasonal river. What happens when it goes dry? What are you depending on? All right, so make sure you have an irrigation system in place so that this can be a fallback for you. So if you have a fallback plan, probably unategemeanga mvua, but you also have tanks in place, drip irrigation, or whatever irrigation system you have in place. If you have that fallback plan, you can award yourself 5 points. If you don't have, at least now you know you need a fallback plan. Doesn't need to be expensive. It's something that is doable, something that can work for you. All right, depending on the place that you are in. Okay, that is very important. So before we take a short break so that we can finish or continue with the rest of the points, it's very important to recap on the 4 points that you've talked about. That is soil testing. Very, very important to test your soil and to get to understand the pH level of your soil. You've also talked about raising your beds. Okay, very, very important to make sure that they are raised so that this can ease how to access your farm and also improve your drainage. Thirdly, we've talked about a very important point that we have said, we as a farmers, we are ready. We've come up with a brilliant idea to make sure that we have a training resource center. So that is very important for you. Shall be giving you details on how you can actually enroll that, so that when it's underway, you'll not be left behind, right? And also, fourth, we've talked about making sure that you have a fallback plan or an irrigation system in place in case you unategemea kitu moja ama kingine. Okay? So when you come back, we'll be talking about the weather updates. It's very important to understand what will be happening in the course of the next 24 hours. Don't go too far. We'll be right back with the next with the other points on talking about you need to have certified seeds. But before that, let's this short break. And it's 23 minutes to 4 p.m. right here on Farmers Media. This is the Farm Drive Show with me, Conrad Kibe, and definitely we're always about three things only: connect, learn, and grow. And today we're having a very interesting conversation on whereby we're asking ourselves, are our farms a business or not? And the steps to actually know if your farm is a business or not, tips on or the guidelines on what you're supposed to be understanding, so that you know if your business if your farm is a business or not, if you're in the right path, and if you're in the wrong, we rectify and we move on to the right path. If you're on the right path, that's a very, very good job, and keep up on doing the same. And so before we continue with the conversation, let's get some updates from the Kenya Met Department on what will be happening in the next 24 hours. Some counties will be experiencing very, very heavy downpour in the next 24 hours, and this rainfall is expected to persist over most parts of listen to this: West Pokot, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Bungoma, Kakamega, Busia, Elgeyo Marakwet, Samburu, Laikipia, Nandi, Kericho, Nakuru, Nyamira, Kisii, Bomet, Narok, Kiambu, Murang'a, Nairobi, Nyandarua, Nyeri, and Kirinyaga. So those are some of the counties that will be experiencing heavy rainfall in the next 24 hours, and definitely not forgetting Tharaka Nithi also will be experiencing that. But meanwhile, the remaining counties of northeastern, northwestern, southern, eastern lower lands and the coastal counties will generally remain dry. So kama wewe uko hizi pande za Ukambani kidogo kidogo, poleni kwenyu, itabidi mmengoja mvua for a few other, probably after the next 24 hours. But most likely this is a schedule that they have posted that will probably take until the 3rd of September. So probably this week, kama uko hizi sides are southern side of the lower lands, itabidi umengoja mvua until next week. But also for those counties that will be experiencing this heavy downpour, make sure you have actually prepared adequately. Kama unataka kutengeneza shamba lako, you know what to do in the next 24 hours. You only have that to yourself to make sure that you have prepared adequately, kitu isikupate off guard. And also for those who are working, tafadhali usifanye ile kitu tunaitanga freeze and shine. So prepare adequately. We don't have time to actually, or the luxury to actually get sick over a flu because of not preparing ourselves well, or a freezing and shining. Because remember, we also have the virus COVID-19 around, so we need to take care of ourselves because prevention is better than cure. All right. And so on that note, make sure you have gotten your vaccine at least, because this vaccine is helping to is reducing the spread of the virus with around 95%. And also the Ministry of Health is yet to give us the updates of the cases that we have received in the country in the last 24 hours. But as soon as they do that, we shall be giving you those updates right here on the Farm Drive Show. So to continue with our discussion today, we talked about the 4 points or the 4 pillars or the 4 tips on what to actually follow before you embark or you transition your farm into a business. Talked about soil testing, making sure your beds are raised, making sure that you have basic knowledge, and lastly we talked about making sure you have a fallback plan in terms of having an irrigation system in place if you're depending on the rainfall. And so the 5th point that you need to actually understand fully, and this we talked about it before we talked about it, that's when we had the technical hitch yesterday. We talked about, are you using, or the seeds that you're using in your farm, are they certified? That is a very important question to ask yourselves. All right. So you're there, as I always have said, when you don't have the basic knowledge. Unaambiwa hii seed iko tu sawa, hata mimi natumia, hata wewe unatumia, niliona nani alitumia nini. And probably you just saw the package or the paper in the trash bin. Ama tu, it's by word of mouth. They told you, I use this, it's good. All right? Because certified seeds are guaranteed to make your life actually easier. So don't just use seeds because of peer pressure, because you have been told to. When you don't have this basic knowledge on how to get the proper seeds, anything goes, anything you're told will go. When you're told use this, that's the way you'll use. That's the way you'll go. As there's a saying that says that when you don't have knowledge, when you don't have the knowledge or the idea of the direction that you are going to, you'll take any route. All right? So if you don't have an exact direction towards your destination, you'll take any route. And so basically what we're trying to say is that if you don't have the basic knowledge, or you don't know anything to do with certified seeds, anything you're told, use this type of seedlings or seeds, you will use them because you don't have any basic knowledge. And this comes with trust. Probably you've trusted the person who actually is telling you this. Na kuna walagai huku nje. There are people who actually get richer overnight, or probably just from conning people and trying to do marketing or branding for something that is not certified. So if you're not sure of the seeds that you're using in your farm, it's good to ask, just ask, inquire, do a bit of research. Okay? And probably you've done your research, you're not very sure, you don't have friends or farmers around you who you can trust. You know what to do. Just call us on that number that is running on your screen. We shall be there to help you. All right? Because we are tried, tested, and we are already certified. As a Farmers Media, we are certified to do this, so you can trust us. If you don't have anyone around you, we can be a fallback for you. So make sure that the seeds you're using in your farm, they are very certified, and so that you can have the best yields. There's no need of using the wrong seeds that are not certified, and later on having a mass loss, a big loss that will make you quit farming, and it will be rectified by simply just making sure you're using the right seeds or the certified seeds. So again, it's very important to go for the quality. Don't go for the quantity, because cheap is expensive. So you'd rather have something that is a bit pricey, but the quality is good, and it's affordable, and it's durable. It's there for a long time. Instead of buying something that is cheap, and at the end of it will not work for you. You'll keep on buying the same products over and over again. So it is very important for you as a new farmer especially, get to have your research, ask to get to know which is the best seeds to use, or which are the certified seeds that are best to use in your farm, so that at the end you'll have to grow your profits and have the best yields when it comes to harvesting and actually taking to the market. The sixth point is, this is the question you're supposed to be asking yourself, you as a farmer. Have you incorporated other methods of pest control? This is something that most farmers actually, this is a challenge to them, having to have a pest or methods of pest control. Because one, remember point 3, if you don't have the basic knowledge on how to spot pests and diseases, then definitely it means you don't have methods of pest control. All right? So, if you don't have the basic knowledge of other methods, then it means you're wholly depending on chemicals. And remember, chemicals, for how long will you use chemicals? And for how long will they last? You cannot always keep on using chemicals 100% in your farm. So it's always the same thing we're talking about, depending on the rainfall. Good, you have the fallback plan of having an irrigation system in place. Same thing we're talking about pest control. Have the chemicals, yes, but have other methods of pest control. And it's okay to use chemicals. That is a fact, all right? And generally, but this will actually, when you keep on increasing the use of chemicals, this goes to the cost of production on your side. Mfuko wako ndio utaumia if you keep on using the chemicals. So at times it's good to have like the DIYs we're talking about, where we, especially during these tough times of the economy, it's good to have somewhere you can actually cut on costs. And when you get a method where you're cutting on costs, and it's not about, forget about doing things in a cheap way. It's something that in terms of watu wa economics watakuelezea in terms of cutting costs, and it's not involved in doing it in a cheap way, but it's a method that can be an alternative and works similar way, but at the end you're cutting some cost in terms of production. So when you go in detailed about talking about chemicals, the environmentalists will tell you about pollution of the air and all that. When you're using so much chemicals, you're used to using so much chemicals, the pests actually can become resistant to that chemical. You know, I don't know if it's a myth that says when you are used to having headaches, keep on having painkillers, get to a point where your body becomes resistant to the drugs. And at the end, eventually, the painkillers that you're taking don't work anymore. So I think it's the same thing. I'm not very sure in terms of medical perspective, but when it comes to the chemicals, the pests zinaweza zoea chemicals hazidedi, hazikusaidi, so they become very resistant, and at the end you'll be doing zero work. And so for the environmentalists, they'll be so loud and shouting on top of the voice and telling you that you're polluting the environment. So we have farmers who actually are very environmental friendly, and they'll tell you they don't use chemicals, they use other methods, right? So we have methods that you can use, talking about physical measures that allow you to be proactive or do something before the pests become a problem. So they have become resistant. What is the next step? Okay, so you need to have some fallback plans when it comes to pest control, so that when we get to a point where we are having to pollute the environment, or the pests have become resistant, then what next? We need to have that fallback plan. So you, as a new farmer, as you're doing your business plan in terms of transitioning your farm into a business, have that in mind. An experienced farmer, probably you are one of those people or those farmers who have that problem of the pests have become resistant, or you have become environmental friendly, and you're wondering, now the chemicals, will they pollute the air? Do we have another way we can do this? Have that fallback plan. But it's good to say, and it's safe to say, that chemicals are not bad. All right? You can use chemicals, they are safe. We have chemicals that are environmental friendly, but remember, not all. So you cannot fully depend on those chemicals when it comes to pest control. All right? The seventh question that you're supposed to be asking yourself is, I have a spray program to stay on top of management, right? So the question is, the answer is either yes or no, I spray as needed. So when it comes to the spray program, all right, do you have, when it comes to spraying, do you have a program to stay on top of the management game, or in terms of managing your farm, or you spray where ni vibes tu na inshallah, when unaona kuna shida unapiga dawa? Or do you have a system in place where we do after 4 months, after 3 weeks, after 1 month? Do you have a system in place? It's not an easy task, by the way, let me tell you that. But feel free to to simplify it as much as you can, as long as you know what stage you need to spray. Okay? This goes back to the basic knowledge that you're supposed to be having. Probably if you have you've been told you need to spray after 3 weeks, you need to do that. You don't just spray because you feel like spraying, or you feel you've taken it's been long since you did the spraying. If there are guidelines that have been given to you to follow a certain procedure, or to follow a certain timeline, please do that. But if you're out there, you're that farmer, you don't have any timeline, you've never inquired anything, you don't do inquiries, you have never asked any question, and as I said, it's working for you by sheer luck. You know, you're trying things, but you don't have that basic knowledge, but you actually serve a very living God, or the God that you pray to is actually working for you, and things work out for you, but you're doing it in the wrong way. At the end, for how long will that work for you? So probably you need to have a certain system or program, especially when it comes to spraying. Make sure that if a certain product have been you've been allocated to spray it within a certain timeline, please make sure you do that. Don't do it vile umezoea. Because when we actually follow these steps, you'll definitely learn that we are learning to unlearn. We are learning some things that you've been doing the wrong way, and you are learning to do things the right way. All right? So don't be a bit rigid, because change is very, very hard. It's very challenging, but at the same time, it's very, very doable. So the eighth aspect, or the eighth thing that we need to ask ourselves as we transition our farms to a business is, I have the question that you're supposed to be having. The question is supposed to be asking yourself, I have basic knowledge on what my plants need. You're talking about fertilizers, whatnot, all that. Or you're that farmer who is saying, I am inquiring as I go. Unajua, wewe ulianza busy yako, ulisema sasa this farm of mine, I'm going to turn it into a business. But you don't inquire, you don't do your research, you don't ask nobody. You just start, and probably the first time you do it, sheer luck, or you tried something, worked for you, you fall, or it fails, you ask, then you learn. Unaenanga tu ukilearn kwa njia, you fall, unasimama, unaanguka tena. You know, every step, instead of inquiring, you're always falling. You must fail for you to actually ask. So what kind of a farmer are you? Are you that farmer you need to get all the steps that are required before getting into farming? Or you're that farmer who uko roho juu, wacha tuingie huko tuanguke alafu we learn in the job, you know. So what kind of a farmer are you? Because this needs a lot of patience, needs a lot of confidence when you're doing this, because not everything will work. So this is not about pressuring anyone, not tell you what to do. It's actually what is working for you. So if you're that farmer, you think, if you're a perfectionist, especially for those people who are perfectionists, all right? Those are people who will ask everything before. They will inquire everything before they undertake anything. They'll make sure this thing is done in the right way. So what kind of a farmer are you? Are you that farmer, lazima niulize? Iyo ni must. Ama wacha tu niulize wero juu kesi baadaye. What kind of a farmer are you? Will you inquire as you go, as you continue doing your farming? You fail, you ask. You fail, you ask. Or you get everything pre-planned. Because probably you're afraid of failing. Most of us are that kind of people. We're afraid of failing. But kuna wengine, they are risk takers. Let's do it. If it fails, then we shall learn with it, along the way. So this thing is not something that you do as a group. This is all up to you. What are your intentions? What can you work with? If you can't handle that pressure of failing and then rising again just like the phoenix, then please don't try that. Just inquire before you take any other step. So probably you're right here, you listen to me, and you don't need all this pre-planning. You'll be like, okay, sawa, I've not tested myself, I've already planted, so let's see how it will go. And you have that ukona huo moyo wa kufanya hivyo, well and good. If you can inquire as you tag along when you're doing your farming, well and good. But kama una huo moyo, because it needs a lot of perseverance and patience. If you can't do that, if you're afraid of failing, and probably because we talk about failing, it's also hurts your pocket, okay? Because you have to go back to your pocket and start from scratch. So if you're afraid of that and you don't have the capacity to do that, please make sure you have the basic knowledge, you have pre-planned before you get to fail. Let it fail because of nature. You know, the rainfall ndio ilikuwa mingi kidogo, ama something that is more of nature, but not from your end. You've tried your best, you've been doing the right thing. So if anything comes along the way and you fail, it's not from your end, right? But if you can actually accommodate that and handle that, do you. But it's actually what works for you. So when we come back after this short break, it's all about, we'll be talking about the crop rotation. It's very important. I know most of you new farmers especially, and also the experienced farmers, you're not doing the crop rotation. We shall be telling you the importance of doing the crop rotation, and on top of that, we shall be having a very, very interesting segment of the pan of the day. Don't go too far. We'll be right back after this short break.
Beetroot is a highly nutritious root vegetable. The beetroot is the top proportion of a beet plant. It is one of the many varieties of the genus Beta vulgaris, all of which are mostly grown for their edible taproots and leaves. Beetroot is a root crop that takes approximately 3 to 4 months to mature. Beetroot is a fairly easy crop to grow as long as the soil is well cultivated prior to planting. Beetroots do not enjoy wet, boggy or shady soils. Beetroot can be sown in trays and transplanted when the seedlings have 2 true leaves. Plant in full sun, space seedlings 10 to 15 centimeters apart, and rows 20 centimeters to 30 centimeters apart so they have room to grow. Beetroots are also ideal for containers or raised beds. Beetroots will happily thrive in small areas as long as there's at least 20 centimeters depth of soil. Beetroot has been used not only for food but also for treatment for numerous conditions.
It is exactly 4 p.m. East African time right here on Farmers Media. This is the Farm Drive Show with me, Conrad Kibe, and definitely we are always about 3 things only: connect, learn, and grow. And so this is a very, very important topic we're talking about, and especially for those who are transitioning their farms into business. It's very, very important to actually get to know some of these steps or some of the questions you need to ask yourselves as you transition your farm into a business. But before we continue with the topic, this is an important segment we always have right here on the Farm Drive, and it's very long before we did it, and that is a pan of the day. And unfortunately we can't have the graphics on your screen, but I'll just read it out. I hope you have your sense of humor is iko mahali juu kidogo. And today's pan of the day is: I love farming from my head to my toes. Like, you get, like, I wish you could have the graphics of the tomatoes. You get, like, I love farming from my head to my toes. And nikiendelea kuelezea hiyo joke nitakuwa na choma, but I hope if you have a sense of humor imekufikia mahali uliko. So that is a pan of the day for today. We'll always be having a pan of the day every single day of the week. That is from Monday to Friday right here on the Farm Drive. So make sure you're always tuned in, isikuwe inakupita, but pia ikikupita angalia kwenye mitandao yetu on all our social media platforms. Remember, you can interact with us on our Facebook page, that is Farmers, on Twitter Farmers with a Z, and YouTube. Tafadhali, if you're on YouTube right now, you're live, please just do me a favor, just 1 second, that red button na check hapo right, the red button on your right, just piga tu alafu ifade, usitoke kama bado iko red, don't check out of that channel when it's still red. Just do us a favor, just press the button. Saitu, just do it right now. Just press that button. Hiyo imeandikwa subscribe. Alafu kando yake kuna kengele. Just make sure the bell is on, so that you can be getting the notification anytime we go live. Utakuwa unapitwa na kitu chochote. And please, if you're watching us from Facebook, if you're live, usitoke hapo pia kama hujapenda, you've not liked our page, follow us. Let's get to 120,000 followers, please, sindio? And share to your friends. Probably you have a friend who is out there trying to be a new farmer, amekuwa experienced farmer, manzi amekuwa tu akikula mael zake kwenye shamba. Tafadhali usikubali akule el ingine, na unajua unaweza msaidia when it comes to making sure that they're transitioning their farm into a business. So make sure you share, make sure you also get comment there. Kama umekuwa ukikula el, just give us your experience on the comment section. If you have tried, you've actually learned something from what we are trying to actually have a conversation with. You've probably started farming without testing your soil, your beds are not raised. What kind of experiences are you having when you're doing all that? It's good to share the experiences because we learn from one another, all right? So make sure usitoke kwa hiyo page kama uja like na uja follow. Tutakuwa tunafanya vizuri. Na pia pale kwa Twitter, make sure you give us a follow on Twitter because we'll be having something very interesting coming this week. We shall be giving you details of that and much more. So make sure you are engaging us on all our social media platforms. Na kama uko na swali, whether it's about the certified seeds, whether it's soil testing, any question you have, just slide into our DMs, or you can call us on the number that is running on your screen. Tutakuwa wakusaidia. All right? We shall be helping you in what you actually need to be doing. Now, we just here to help you. The services are of very, very high quality, and mambo yetu iko namna hiyo, bei yetu very affordable. It's something that we can work with, and we talked about getting to visit your farms, probably due to the COVID and everything, but we can work on logistics. So don't worry, don't be shy, just slide in our DMs, call us, we can help you. If you want anything to do with to inquire what is happening with a farmers training and resource center, you can call our number, and the number to call when it comes to the farmers training and resource center, the number to call is 0700 288 057. I repeat, 0700 288 057. Any inquiry you need to get, or any question you have regarding the training and resource center, you can call that number. Someone, again, will be on the other end of the line to help you, guide you on what is happening, and actually get to prepare you, to give you the dates and everything that is happening there. And definitely, please follow our page. That is our Farmers Training and Resource Center on Facebook. Usikuwa unapitwa na anything we have there. We have a new page for the Farmers Training and Resource Center. Please make sure you like that page, follow that page, so that you can get every information that and every update that the page will be updating, so that usiwachwe nyuma. But if you have any inquiry, unasikia na kuwasha kidogo, and you need to talk to someone directly, you can call that number. And lastly, it's 0700 288 057. Sidio? Tunasaidiana namna hiyo. So the last actually, that's, we get into point number 9. That is crop rotation. Why is it important? Or are you even planning to? Probably you umefika step 8, wewe umekuwa gwiji, umekuwa bazuu, umefanya hizo vitu zote, but when it comes to intercropping or crop rotation, you're just there and thinking, you know what, I'm not going to do this. Or you debating, should I do it, should I not? So this is the reason as to why you're supposed to be doing the intercropping or crop rotation. So one, it will not only help you in managing pests and diseases, it will actually help you, but you'll also spreading the risk. You actually, okay, let's take it again. It will not only help you in managing pests and diseases, but you are also spreading the risk of actually bringing the pests and diseases. All right. So if you don't do the crop rotation, one, you'll not be managing the pests and diseases. Two, you'll be actually in risk of bringing or making sure that there's a spread of the pests and diseases. So it's not helping you either way. All right. So you need to do that because of the pests and diseases. So we talked about pest control. Now you have one more reason or another fallback you can have apart from the chemicals. You can do the crop rotation, intercropping. Pale unaweka mahindi alafu tuachane na mahindi, right? Pale unaweka nyanya alafu kimaliza nyanya unaweka kitunguu. You just rotate, all right? And this actually help you. For example, pale umeweka watermelons, okay? Hapa tuseme ni shamba lako, umeweka watermelons hapa, and probably they didn't do so well as you expected, and you're there devastated, depressed. You're like, hey, I had so much hope in these watermelons. They're not making sense. They're not making sales at all, and the growth is not very healthy. What you don't know, pale probably ukiweka kunde ndio zitafanya vizuri pale, na mali ulikuwa umeweka kunde hazifanyi kazi au hazifanyi vizuri, hapo ndio watermelon inafanya. So it's more of like, it's less or more like taking a risk, but it's like experimenting, kama hapa watermelon hazifanyi kazi, wewe sema tu haidhuru, let's move on, try kuweka piece hapo hivyo, ama just try and do the interrotation, all right? Usiweke tu watermelons pale hazifanyi vizuri, the next time you're doing a planting bado unaweka watermelons and hazifanyi vizuri. Try another crop and probably inaweza kuwa inafanya vizuri pale, na ambako umetoa ile crop haifanyi vizuri vizuri ambako umetoa. So if the watermelons are not doing vizuri hapa and the kunde zinafanya vizuri pale, weka hizo watermelons pale kwa kunde, na hizo kunde unazileta hapa kwa watermelons. If it works, well and good for you. So that's another reason as to why you're supposed to be doing the practicing of the crop rotation or intercropping. Sawa. So if you're not planning to, probably you can give it a thought right now and think otherwise. I hope I've convinced you enough to like try and do the crop rotation or intercropping. It's very important, especially kama huna any other fallback plan when it comes to the pest control. Convinced enough to have a fallback plan. That is one. And two, if you're not planning to, like, you're not even sure, especially if you're a new farmer, you're not sure kama hapa pataweza ama hapataweza, you can try that. All right? Good. So the 10th question we should be having, I hope you're still continuing to mark your trivia. You're getting to know where you're going wrong. What are you still in the right path? Because I'll be giving you the scores and get to know where you actually can take some notes. You're taking some notes. So the 10th one we have, do you have an alternate source of power? All right, talking about generators, solar panel, ama wewe unatumia hii ya kawaida, stima ya kawaida. This one has taught so many people a lesson, especially in all industries, right? To have a fallback plan. And this fallback plan in terms of the alternate source of power works for all industries. When you're talking about the media industry, schools, right? Especially most schools. I think if you're not like me, in our high school we used to count 3 seconds and we'll have the alternate source of power. That is a generator. Within 3 seconds of lights going off or kupotea kwa stima, 3 seconds later the generator is on. So if you have that kind of alternative, well and good for you. If you're coming from a very, very remote area, pale kule kuona, there's no, the mobile network bars, zile zinakonga pale juu kwa simu, hakuna hata moja, nothing, it's inasoma no service. If you come from such kind of a place, then stima nayo ni kama maji na mafuta, hazipatani. Kama hakuna network, probably most likely the probability of kuwa na stima huko is almost next to none. So kama hakuna stima, you can't just say, you know what, kama hakuna stima, then there's no need of farming in that place. And the soil there is very fertile. So you don't have to give up. Just get an alternative source of power. Kama mostly the remote areas, ni kumaanisha kuna konga very dry and there's a lot of sun. So you know what to do? Get a solar panel. All right? So there's nothing, I know it's a challenge, but at the end of it all, it's doable. So kama hawajafikiwa na stima, bado hamjawekewa the poles za stima, huko bado stima, it's a new terminology, you know what to do. Get the solar panel or work with what you have. Kama ni wind, wewe unaweza cheza na wind, generate that to steamer, well and good, whatever works for you, but as long as you have that alternative, alright? Na kama kuna steamer lakini huko steamer, shout out to watu wa Kinoo, huko kupata steamer every time, if at the end of the week Kinoo hakujapotea steamer, hawa si upiga bash ingine, sherehe kubwa sana. So if you're in Kinoo, and probably huko unajua steamer kupata kila siku si mchezo. I don't know what happens in that place. So if you're in Kinoo, for example, you're a farmer in Kinoo, you need to have that alternative source of power by now. Kama ni solar, kama ni generator, please install that. Because I don't know how farmers in that place and they don't have an alternative source of power survive in that place. So make sure you have that in your business plan, because remember, you're transitioning your farm into a business, not just because you're doing it out of leisure. Kama ni out of leisure, unasema basi tutaendelea kulima after stima zimerudi. But remember, this is a business. It's just like any other business, whether ni kiosk umefungua, supermarket, general shop, whatever business you under. And remember, this is food, all right? Needs to be fresh, the yields needs to be of high quality. So, and when it comes to when it comes to food, I know it's always first for you to actually retain, especially when it comes to the market, for you to retain your customers or your clients, it's the first impression that counts. Akikuja pale, and I know you apart from you just being a farmer, you've ever gone to a fast food restaurant, a fast food place, and you buy stuff like food. You buy either fries, kuku, samosa, just fast food joints. If that joint haikukubamba, ama you got stomach issues, you can't go back to that joint, right? That's very true. It's the same thing. If your products, people realize, say product zake zinanukanga chemicals, and it sprays a lot of chemicals, people won't come to buy your products again, and the word will spread. Only probably the loyal people will remain with you, but for how long? So food is very essential, very critical, and so when you transition it to become a business, that's when you need to be very careful on how you do it, because if you don't do it in the right way, kitakumania, right? So you need to be very, very proactive when it comes to how you do things, okay? And the source of power you're talking about, probably that's where you have your fallback plan of irrigation schemes, or irrigation systems. That's hapo lazima unatumia steamer to generate the water and water view to distribute the water into to the farm. You need to have that alternative source of power. What if steamer zitakuwa wiki mzima? Are you gonna stay a whole week without business? You need to have a fallback plan or alternative source. Mnaweza shikana, if you live in one place and you like 5 farmers, mnaweza shikana mushike generator or solar panels, and you just distribute amongst yourselves. At the end, let's connect, learn, and grow. You'll grow, all of you as a farmers. If you're in the same area, you'll all grow. So at the end, let's have an alternative source of power, apart from just making sure that we are depending on the power that we always have as a country. So the 11th or the second last point we need to talk about, or the question that you need to be asking yourself as a farmer: I have records of crop production records. I have records of crop production records, e.g. that is time of planting, fertilization application, talking about expected time to harvest. You have that, right? So the question that you're supposed to be asking yourself, do you have all that? The records for the crop production, talking about unajua ni fertilizer gani inafaa kuwa na apply, because you can't just apply at the same time, right? There are steps. And the time of planting, wewe unapanda watu wakivuna, ama unapanda wakati wengine wanafaa kuwa wanavuna, ama unavuna wakati ambako watu wanafaa kuwa wanapanda. and you don't even know, you just gamble with the rain. You don't even know when to expect the rain. So you need to have that plan. You see, you need to have everything planned. When we're talking about the time of planting, when are we supposed to plant? And before planting, what are we supposed to do before planting? Because remember, even if you're doing farming foundation, you're retired, there's nothing I'm doing. That is okay. Now, if you have decided to transition that farm to give you some profits, there are things that you need to put into considerations. Okay? And especially if you do all these things. 800,000, and they're talking of figures, and you think you'll do the same and you'll get the same amount of money, and you're driven by the figures they have quoted, and you don't follow these small steps, then you're in for a very, very rude shock. All right? So you need to follow these small steps. When they tell you they have made 800,000, for example, they have not told you how they made it. Hakunanga pesa rahisi hii kwanza hii Nairobi, hakuna pesa rahisi. It's not easy. They won't tell you, even anyone who is successful, they'll tell you a bit of their story, but they don't tell you how they might try and explain how they suffered or the challenges they went through. But if you're not wearing the same shoes, or you don't understand what it takes to wear the same shoes, then you can ask Noah with the 75,000 cabbages what happened to him. And here he is 14 years later, he's doing this amazing work. So it's never easy. He will tell you he suffered with his 75,000 cabbages. But right now you look at him and you're like, wow, you are successful. But he will tell you of the 75,000 cabbages and probably give you a story or two, and you will laugh after it or over it. But you can never understand what it takes to actually get a loss. All right? So don't just jump into the success story of someone getting the farm profits, and you jump into it. You want to transition very fast overnight into a business, your farm into a business. You need to actually respect the process and trust the process. Apart from the only process you're supposed to trust is this one. What was Senali, I think trusting the process is not working for you is a theme that you're supposed to just get off your mind. You've been trusting the process for a very long time. But right now, the only trusting process that is supposed to be working is for the farmers. Trust the process, respect the process, and it will work for you. All right? So as you do all this, make sure you have the crop production records in place, whether it's time for planting, fertilization application, and the expected time of the harvest. All right? Last but not least, we're talking about the question you're supposed to be asking yourself. Do you clean, after how long do you clean your farm? Is it every Monday, every day, after 3 weeks, after 2 weeks? And there's so much you can talk about when it comes to farm hygiene. And both as a measure to control pests and diseases. These are some of the reasons why you're supposed to be cleaning your farm. And just cleanliness being, they say, being second to godliness or something like that. And it's important to clean the farm after harvesting, especially after harvesting. Clean the farm after weeding. Okay, do you do that? No? Yes? You can tick the answer there and give or award yourself the points. You also have clean the farm after pruning. Very important. You could use the held forage as green manure or for composting. The green manure that you probably have, you can use it as they've said, the healthy forage. That's a healthy forage because it's green manure, and you know what manure can do for you. So after how long do you clean your farm? Do you clean your farm after harvesting? Have you ever done that? Do you know, as a farmer who is trying to get or transition your farm into a business, do you know you're supposed to be doing that? Sorry. Are you an experienced farmer? Have you been cleaning your farm? Now you know. If you've not, it's okay. It's an oops, but now it's something that you can rise and start practicing as soon as possible. It's good to do it after harvesting, after weeding, and also after pruning. This is not just about being clean or making sure that your farm is clean. It also helps in the pest and disease control. Very, very important aspect to note as you are doing the cleaning of your farm. Okay, so before we take that short break, so that we come back and tackle the traffic updates and give you the scores as you've been doing the quiz trivia. We're talking about mulch, your crops being mulched, and so this you're talking about the conservation of water. How well do you conserve the water in your farm? Simply, if you don't have, you're not mulching your crops or your farm, then you're not doing it right. In short, what you're trying to say, if you don't conserve water, if you're not spending the water in the right way, because you have so much water, you have adequate of water. Now you're making the farm over flood. It's flooding. When you're talking about irrigation, it's raining and you're still using drip irrigation. Then you're not conserving water. You're actually misusing water. So make sure you have ways in which, or make efforts to conserve the water. If it's raining, then don't do the drip irrigation. Kama kunyeshi, then when is the right time to do the irrigation? Asubuhi ama jioni, around 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, or 5, 6 in the evening. Conserve water. Siku yache ikiran the whole day. Try as much as possible to conserve your water. So you can come back after this short break. We'll be talking about the traffic updates, especially watu wa Mombasa Road. I know it's been hell, but let me tell you, good things take time, right? I know something good is coming on Mombasa Road, but you can probably, if you're having a rough days, you can ask the people who live along Thika Road. Same thing happened to them almost 10 years ago, but now they're enjoying the fruits of what they actually went through. So something great will be coming, because good things. At the same time, when talking about farming, this 800,000 your friends are telling you, the farmers are telling you, good things actually take time. All that after this short break. Welcome back. Some few minutes to half past 4 p.m. right here on our Farmers Media. This is the Farm Drive Show with me, Conrad Kibe, and we are winding up the show. But before we do that, remember you've been doing a trivia, or I've been asking you some questions. We have been tackling some questions and having a conversation on what to do and just checking if we're on the right path or not. And from the 13 points, remember we've been awarding ourselves around 5 points for each if you've been doing it on the right way. And this the scores between 0 to 28, and if you're scored 29 to 40 and 41 to 65. Those are the three categories. And I'll start with the first one, 0 to 28. If you have been doing some yes or no, you have been answering. If you've tested your soil, you've done one or two things. Out of the 13, if you're scored 0 to 28, you really need to do something, right? You're not that really bad, at least, but start by implementing activities that do not require to spend a lot of money. Okay, some things that you can do. I know with this economy it's a bit tough to get back to your pocket and do the same things the right way, but you can check from the 13 what can I do in terms of not spending a lot of money. That goes back to what am I going to do to cut on production. When you cut on production, probably that amount of money you can help in actually changing the way you've been doing things. So if you have scored 0 to 28, make sure you change some few things. And if you have any inquiries, remember the number is on the screen. You can ask, just contact us, slide into our social media platforms DMs, and we shall be able to help you. At least by the next time we shall be doing this review, utakuwa umeingia the second phase or the second group of people or farmers who have scored from 29 to 40. If you are there who have scored 29 to 40, you generally doing okay. You're not that bad, but you can definitely refer to your farm as a business, right? So if you scored 29 to 40, wewe uko katika the right path. Ni kidogo ulikuwa kwa rough road, ilikuwa na mabumps kidogo, but you're actually on the right path. You just need to adjust some few things here and there, and as they always say, there is room for improvement. So you can just expand that room and you create the improvement for yourself. And for those who have scored 41 to 65, almost everything, you almost got it right. You are really actually doing great. And I would like to, probably you can share experiences, if it's the profits, if what you've learned along the way, you've done this before, especially for the experienced farmer. What have you done to maintain the standards? Because remember, if you're a new farmer, you can try this for the first time, and being on top is always very difficult, and the difficulty comes in to maintain being on top. So you can share, if you've scored 41 to 65, you can share what are some of the tips that you have actually incorporated to make sure that you have maintained these standards. And definitely, I know if you have scored 41 to 65 and you're an experienced farmer, you have been laughing your way to the bank for a very long time. Kama umekuwa ukifanya 10 years plus or something, 5 years, you have been laughing your way to the bank. So you can give us some of those tips that you have been able to maintain the standards, the high quality standards, so that you can maintain the score being 41 to 65 and making sure that every time you transition your farm to a business, you're scoring this high, right? So you can just have that, you can evaluate yourself, see where you've gone wrong, see what you can do to help you get to the next level. If you are in that level of 0 to 28, make sure you transition at least bare minimum to the level of 29 to 40. Even in that level of 29 to 40, work a bit, or as you have said, create that room to make sure that you get to 41 and 65. But as always, make sure you're improving. Don't stay in the same place. Don't be stagnant. Make sure you improve to the next tire. So as we wind up, it's good to get to understand what is happening in our roads. And as always, Watu wa Mombasa Road is, I don't have any good news for you. Nothing is changing, especially around Syokimau. It's bumper to bumper. Nothing is moving. The traffic is slowly moving, but I hope leo mutafika nyumbani mapema, and no one will actually sleep on the roads. And definitely it's a bit hectic from Lolongo to all the way to around Syokimau, but kutoka hapo ina move until Imara Daima, hapo ndio inashikana vibaya sana, all the way to South Sea around the Nyayo Stadium roundabout. Kutoka hapo ni balaa. And if you're using the southern bypass, well and good for you. So kama unafanya kazi hizo sides za Ngong Road, pitia tu southern bypass, pale ni kama baiskeli ya kuibiwa, ni teke. Watu wa Langata Road, I see you're still enjoying you're not enjoying any traffic. So pale kama umetoka kwa nyumba au umetoka kazini sahi, unyo especially kama wewe ni parent wa CBC, kimbia kama unaishi Langata Road, unaweza enda usaidie mtoto na homework kidogo tu pale. But watu wa southern bypass you don't have to worry so much because there is no traffic until hizo sides za Kino, so you are good to go. Wacha tuangalie watu ambao walienjoy barabara or the super highway. We were talking about watu wa Thika Road. Shida inaanzia pale Pangani, hapo ndio shida iko. But as always, I've seen the shortcut talking about Juja Road. So if you have a problem, especially karibu na pale Ngara and Muthaiga, tumia shortcut ya Juja Road na utakuwa umefika nyumbani safe and sound. Make sure you are maintaining the road safety on the roads as you're traveling. And as always, COVID-19 is around. Make sure you wear your mask well, just properly. Si kuvaa tu jiko hapa kwa chini ama chini ya chini ama wengine wanavaa kwa kichwa. Make sure you're wearing it in the right way. And also disposing your mask. Kuna watu wengine kidogo tumelegeza how we are disposing our masks. It's very very important to make sure you're disposing it in the right way. Sio kutupa takataka, kuitupa kama takataka kwa barabara vile ambavyo unataka. Remember, has all your saliva and what have you, so that's another way of spreading the virus. Make sure you sanitizing. If you're not sanitizing, if you don't have a sanitizer, make sure you use clean water and soap, and definitely maintain a social distance. I know the Ministry of Transport came back to they concluded that we can go back to full capacity in terms of the PSVs. So make sure hata kama uko kwa ile PSV viti za watu watatu, mnaketi watatu, vaa tu mask, jipe shughuli and you'll be well. All right? But if you in a place where you can maintain that social distance, please do it so. And as always, the new preaching is that make sure you take that vaccine. It's very very important. Let's not go with the myths and misconceptions that are out there. Try as much as possible to be a bit opportunistic about this thing, because it's actually helping to reduce the spread of the virus with a bit of 95%. So try as much as possible to be optimistic about this virus. And remember, we are not just taking care of ourselves, you're taking care of the people around us. I'll see you. Right? So thank you so much for being part of this conversation. And as always, we'll be doing this farm drive every 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on Farmers Media. And thank you so much to my director, Mike. You've been an amazing director. And we can do this tomorrow. I'll see you. Thank you so much.